Hi there, I'm Sherry, and this is my BFF Rhonda.
And welcome to Designing Bitches. This podcast is for women
and brave men
who eat, sleep, and breathe interior design and recognize their addiction to HGTV.
Whether you're rearranging your living room for the 12th time or here to justify another home goods spree, you're in the right place.
Let's talk design, disasters, and all the beautiful chaos in between.
All right, buckle up, design lovers. This week we're dishing on Rock the Block Season 6, Episode 4. And yes, this one is hilariously titled, Pulling Design Out of Your Booty.
Yup. Rock the Block hit us with a surprise twist that felt straight out of Trading Spaces, minus the hay glued to the walls. The teams had to design an upstairs bonus room and stairway, but here's the kicker, Rhonda. No budget this week, which actually for some of the teams, they're really lucky they didn't have a budget.
I thought the same thing.
Yep. Instead, they had to work with whatever wild items they got in a themed transportainer. Think of it like a design mystery box HGTV style. And they had to play a game called Rock the Drop to win.
I liked Cole's idea of arm wrestling better.
Yeah, I think that would have been a lot of fun. Oh, and they just had 48 hours to make the magic happen. Rhonda, be real. Could you survive a Trading Spaces style all-nighter design challenge without glue gunning yourself to the wall?
No, and I'm shocked there weren't more accidents.
Same.
Visuals of them in arm casts and Band-Aids after working 48 hours deliriously into the 2-day challenge. But I will tell you, I thought it gave it some energy that was lacking in the previous episodes.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And what was funny is that it really did make me think back to Trading Spaces, especially because Ty's yelling all this stuff out.
Yes.
And back when Trading Spaces was playing, I would have told you I could absolutely do it. 48-hour challenge, like, no problem. Today,
absolutely not.
Mad respect for these teams. I don't think I could do it. Hey, the other change they made is that they were judging each other.
Yes, interesting. I was curious how that was going to play out in the episodes.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed that they made that change. Spoiler alert, we will be talking about the winners. So if you haven't seen the 4th episode of Rock the Block, put us in your queue and come back after you've watched. So what did you think about the themes, Rhonda?
Well, I was a little curious. What did they plan to do with those spaces before they had to change to the themes that were given to them?
Oh.
Like, I would have liked to have Allison say, well, I was going to make this into another bedroom, right? I was going to do XYZ with this. But you know what I'm saying? I'm just looking for what was the plan for this upstairs space. I will say, I thought Chelsea and Cole looked legitimately stunned, right?
When you get the box that you don't want, and nobody wanted that. I'm just like, Chelsea and Cole, bless your heart.
Yes, but I think Chelsea, Cole, and I are the only people in America that don't know what a gaming room should have in it. Are we the only ones that don't game? I would have to phone a friend if I won the gaming room.
You could definitely call me. I'm a little gamer. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was the one space that none of those people wanted. And I just thought, do none of you game?
I don't think they do.
What do you guys do to waste time? That's what I do. I also thought it was interesting for the workspace. Mm-hmm. Ty, when he announces it, says it could be a home office or a place for the kids to do homework. Allison says later, we're going to do this for the kids because we have the adult office downstairs.
Yes.
And then everyone judges them based on it really not being like a kid's space. And I just thought, well, that isn't what Ty said originally when he was talking about the theme. Mm-hmm. I thought it was just so heartwarming when Kamohai wins the kids' playroom.
You could tell they were so happy. And that's why the conspiracy theory that they knew it was going to happen, I'm not sure I buy into that because I did feel like there was legitimate happiness,
and I'm
jumping
not sure
around.
Tristyn could fake it.
No. From previous episodes, I'd say no.
And then the wellness or relaxation area, I kind of questioned using a bonus room with no ability to close the doors.
Yeah. Yes.
Imagine having 5 kids in the house and you're up there.
Everybody be quiet.
I don't think it's going to work. But Jonathan's chill zone, and he won it. He didn't seem too unhappy.
The only ones that were unhappy were Chelsea and Cole winning gaming.
So the first 2 teams got the containers they wanted. So Tristyn and Kamohai and Jonathan. Allison and Michelle were not too upset about what they got.
No.
And you're right. Chelsea and Cole didn't want the box that nobody else wanted either.
I would be the same way.
They lost a turn. Can you imagine that feeling of like,
yes. I don't know the first thing about gaming. And so I would honestly, without the internet, be kind of stuck. Like, I know that they have special chairs and I know they have special screens. They wear headphones, but they're talking, right? So there's noise.
It's almost like a podcast room.
There you go.
Right. We're wearing headphones. We have microphones.
Mm-hmm. Do you want it to be open like that? I wouldn't think. The way gamers talk to each other, you certainly wouldn't want the whole house to hear that.
I don't know.
I will say, at the beginning, everyone does look exhausted and cold.
They do. Right? At the beginning, they're already tired, and now they're facing 48 hours.
Yeah, and then the challenge reinvigorated that show. The energy suddenly went up. So I'm glad that they had this challenge. I thought it was one of the better thought-out challenges.
Agreed.
So I give HT snaps after I dished on them for coming up with that lame chalet challenge. I felt that this was actually worth my time.
I loved it. Mm-hmm. I liked that they included the staircase too. And then the winner gets the entire 4,500.
Yes.
So no alliances for the challenge, which I thought was really smart of HGTV to think through that, because definitely there would have been collusion.
Well, if they ever watched Survivor, they would know.
For sure.
This is the way to win, yeah. This episode also intrigued me because of the title.
Yes.
It turns out pulling design out of your booty is a paraphrase quote from Tristyn in the show. And it really reminded me of times when I've done some public speaking where I've said something in the spur of the moment. It hits, everyone laughs, and then you lose control of it, right? It starts to have life of its own, and pretty soon you're walking in a room and people yell it out. So
nobody remembers anything else you said, but they remember that. And we actually called it when we were looking at the titles for the episodes. We felt like that would be Tristyn who originated that title.
Little sassy thing.
I also thought it's a little edgy for HGTV.
Oh, thought the same thing. Wow. I don't know if Tristyn wakes up at 2 a.m. thinking, I can't believe I said that, or am I going to be the pull it out of your booty designer forever? But I did appreciate that it is
She should trademark it.
Yes, it is clever. Put it on a t-shirt, whatever. But
we want the t-shirts. We already said we want the t-shirts.
Yes. So again, I was surprised HGTV used it.
So Allison and Michelle refined Rustic. They got the transportainer named Homework. Again, I felt like there's something about these styles that they've come up with that just sort of didn't apply.
They've gone off
challenge.
They've gone off point with refined Rustic. WTF, what was Rustic in this space?
There was nothing. There was nothing. And they didn't really need a second office, but Allison makes a great case for downstairs will be the adult office and upstairs will be a kid's office. I do think the downstairs office would make a great podcasting or influencer office because it has that pivot door that shuts.
I want it.
When you start looking at this room, it doesn't feel very like kid's office to me.
No, absolutely not. The exact quote I think she said was another office we don't need, right? She didn't want that. But I disagree. There are a lot of families that I know where both mom and dad or both partners stay home as teleworkers. So I would also say that clearly Allison and Michelle do not live with kids or have ever designed for kids. As there was nothing, not even a tween or teen about that space, right? I agreed about the storage, homework, offices. They generate a lot of junk, a lot of debris, a lot of clutter.
Let's close that off.
Yeah, having to be able to put that behind a closed door, like in a cabinet or a drawer.
I was just so glad we did not see more white oak paneling.
Yes.
I was just thinking
a camel color, which apparently made Jonathan be nauseated.
Which was so funny. And I had no idea Michelle was also an artist, which doesn't surprise me. And I loved his paintings. I would buy one of his paintings, and I meant to Google and see if they're on sale somewhere. I loved them.
Me too.
I love that kind of abstract look. I also think their overall design is very consistent with the overall look of their house.
Me too. I think they're the only ones that maybe...
where it totally fits.
Allison completely ignored the challenge in my mind, which she did on the paint challenge from the previous season. Yes. If you remember, she got the green and then made some stick figure painting out of it. When she's admitting she's a control freak, while Michelle just stares at the camera with a no comment face, It's like,
poor Michelle.
Yes. Clearly, they're just sticking with their design theme regardless of the challenge. You could tell, right? Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask you, did you notice that Allison and Michelle were never on camera together? Like after they started doing their design, like he did the stairs and she did the office, and it just felt like two different designers working on two different spaces.
It's interesting. I didn't notice it when I watched the show, but I always go to check my friend Reddit. Mm-hmm. And I'm a closet conspiracy theorist, and there's a big conspiracy theory that Allison and Michelle are feuding and that they weren't in fact on camera together. And that's why, because they're feuding. But I haven't gotten the vibe at all that these two aren't working together well. I've actually kind of liked how well they've gotten along. I've been surprised about it.
Yes.
And maybe the Redditors are just mad about not enough drama between the two of them, like we commented on last week.
That's true. Yes.
I also love Allison's total confidence, which also is a topic. Anywhere there's a post about Allison, there are people who love it and people who hate it. I would just say, if ever in your life you hire a designer and if they're not confident, run.
Yes.
Because what you want in your designer is they're going to go through the thousands of choices, and you want them with absolute certainty to say, this is the look for you based on everything you've told me.
This is what we need.
If I hired a designer, I'd want an Allison Victoria.
Me too.
For
me
sure.
Too. I feel the same way about doctors and pilots.
Same.
I prefer a very confident one, not an insecure one.
Good point. Yeah. Good point.
Moving to
Tristyn and Kamohai.
Moody modern kids space, which I thought was so funny when they said that.
I felt like it just doesn't really apply to this challenge. First of all, the green wall. I immediately picture somebody having a cat. And a cat running all the way up that green wall.
Yep.
And also, I have a couple of smoke detectors that are 14 feet high.
Yeah.
And it is a production.
Yes.
When I have to change the batteries. And
a challenge, so to speak.
And I only have to do that every 6 months to a year. And I can't imagine, like, how often do you have to miss that wall?
In a dry climate?
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of a plant wall. I have actually investigated putting a plant wall in my dining room. My sister-in-law has a plant wall and I love it. She has very simple, easy to take care of plants because she doesn't really have a green thumb. But I tried to use the same company she did. And while the plant wall seemed kind of expensive, it was doable, right?
Yeah.
But then they require a $250 a month maintenance fee.
What?
Like they won't install it unless you sign up for this monthly maintenance
Does she
fee.
pay for the maintenance too?
Well, she said she did and then she dropped it after a year.
Oh.
Now, I never called them back because I thought that seems really high to come water my plants.
That seems crazy.
And I know how to water plants. I don't need you to come to. And it comes with a guarantee they'll replace any plants that die, that kind of thing.
Just don't give me the guarantee, and I don't want to pay the maintenance.
Exactly. I can afford my own pothos or whatever those ones that will grow in a closet. But anyway, the blank wall in my dining room is begging me every time I see it to get a plant wall going. I'm also thinking maybe the YouTubers, the DIY community, can help me out there. The other part of it is, I know the staircase was separate, but a plant wall next to a kids area, I think Cole was right when he said, kids would be kind of hard on that. Kids would be kind of hard on that apart.
I totally agree. I loved the overall look and vibe because I'm a plant girl. But even I, with my over 50 houseplants, would not want to put them on the wall. I would worry about things like mold. Like I'd be a little worried about it. Now, having said that, take the staircase out of it. I absolutely love the room they created. And like my heart was so full when they talked about they were doing this for their kids.
Oh, me too.
And even said their son is destruction and daughter is more creative. Like they absolutely designed this for their own children.
Yes.
And it shows. People will love that enough that if they look at that house and they don't have kids, they're going to have kids when they buy it, just so their kids can enjoy that space.
Yes. I was curious, would the plant wall keep you from buying that house?
No, but I would have it taken down pretty quickly.
Oh, okay.
Well, I would sell it to some sucker like you who doesn't want to pay $250 a month maintenance.
Nice.
Yeah. Must be able to take it down and move it yourself. Thank you.
Like I said, I don't think the moss is a good idea in the desert climate. I have a feeling it would start falling off the wall pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. The other thing I liked about this space was that it was actually a little sophisticated.
Yes.
And those mountains would be a great place, when you're doing that frantic cleaning right before someone comes over, where you just toss everything the kids have left in the other part of the room. You just throw it over the mountain.
I thought the same thing.
Kids, go spelunking to clean your room.
That's right. Where's my Legos? They're behind the mountains. Yeah, I thought the same thing. Just so adorable.
Now, of the 4 teams, I felt like Chelsea and Cole did a good job of bringing Cowboy contemporary to a room that was about gaming tech. And I was absolutely impressed with Chelsea's design skill.
Me too.
In being able to marry that all. And when they showed their
Me too.
mock-up for the staircase, I thought, oh God, that's going to feel overdone. But actually, when they did the slat wall and they painted it the same color as the wall,
understated
it just
for sure.
added so much texture, and it just really felt elevated.
Me too.
I was shocked that I thought, oh, I'm kind of starting to dig animal skulls on walls again.
Me too.
And I just thought, no, Jerry, no.
I have 10-foot ceilings, and it still would look ridiculous to have a giant skull with antlers.
And if you were playing bingo, that was actually one of the bingo squares. I didn't think it would show up.
Nope, I knew it. Instinctively, I knew.
Yeah. Now, also, I think this is the first room we've been in of any of the rooms so far that actually had a TV on the wall. And I just thought, well, that's something new. This is how people actually live. And then where they made that little game with the Rock the Block competitors as players was super clever.
Who did that? They didn't do that. Come on.
And again, they even put the cowhide on the floor. That room actually looked like a cowboy contemporary.
She did say, they were making the joke, cowboys don't game, right? They're busy. They're busy. But Chelsea, when she said the theme of their house and the theme of this room could not be further apart, I thought that's where her brain started working, right? Like, how do I bring those together? And I feel like she's the only one that made it work. Yeah.
I agree. The redemption for me is here's a room with double monitors, and the desk is against the wall. This is the most incredibly functional room.
Yes.
Other than the kitchens that we've seen in these houses.
Yeah. And when Jonathan said I didn't like the curtains.
What?
I thought, well, they need to be dark, right? They need to, if you're gaming, you don't want that daylight in there.
I thought it was the color.
Oh, okay.
And I like that she brought in the green.
Me too, the green
velvet.
I
loved that room. You're right. Like, they would need blackout drapes, and those probably weren't.
But yes, I give Chelsea major snaps. That was all her making that happen, and that showed some design chops.
I totally agree.
She doesn't always get credit for that.
Yeah. Now, Jonathan and Jordan. I mean, Jonathan. And you called it. The Christina thing would be a surprise.
Yes. Oh my God, I can't believe it's you.
Look who showed up. Yes. Now, unfortunately, she didn't go through and say, what the heck have you guys done here? Or explain to him what Modern Farmhouse is. But she definitely had great ideas to make the spa space look more intentional and high end.
Maybe she did that off camera.
Maybe.
For future fixes.
I hope so.
Let's walk around here and let's look at these, mistakes you've made. I also loved, and you and I are probably the only people that really appreciated this, but she fixed his room, right? Because he was just going to have those loungers. And she says, make these loungers built in so they look intentional.
Yeah.
Oh, chef's kiss. Yes, this is exactly what Jonathan is lacking, is that designer to take it to the next level. I'm laughing at Modern Farmhouse Wellness Space. Okay. What I did think about was the influencer thing with that space.
Oh, true.
Right? Like, I don't know what kind of influencers, there
if
are.
you're a massage therapist who also
or, facials, right? If you wanted to do, like, you're sitting there in this beautiful Zen room and,
with
talking
no
about,
doors.
well, that would be the bigger deal, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure the open area works for any kind of relaxation
No.
or influencer private filming in a house that's, quote, built for a big family, right? We look at that space and I think it's going to be noisy. It's not private. Yeah. It's not private. So.
And now I've got rhonda-itis and I want to have salt blocks in my house. I don't know where I could use them, but I did actually look them up.
Oh my God, you did not.
I guess people use these salt blocks to barbecue on.
What? How do they generate enough heat?
It's a big thing, Rhonda. You need to look it up. You need to look it up. Himalayan salt blocks. I got a whole education. I love when I can watch HGTV and I get educated in a way I completely never saw coming.
Didn't expect it, no.
I don't want to spa in my house, but it's what they had to go with. And the room did feel balanced and calming.
Beautiful. It was really beautiful. And I will say, all the judges said they felt relaxed when judging it. Chelsea's like, this is the best I've felt in 2 days, right? Just standing in that room.
Now, if that were my room and Tristyn had put her grubby little feet and body on my light-colored chase, whatever you call that, I'd be like, get off there. I'd be like, get off there. Even watching it, I could feel like, oh my God, she's not sitting on that. She's not sitting on that. How dirty must she be? 48 hours, no shower.
Painting.
I could feel like starting to tense up in my neck. I needed the wellness room to relax after seeing Tristyn lay on that.
I thought the tea station was kind of silly.
Yeah.
I mean, am I going to go up there and make tea? Success to Jonathan. I'll probably give it to Christina. But as far as the intention of that space and translating it to the person in the room, the emotion of the room, it was really well done.
They did the best with what they had. Now, the judging, I thought it was so smart in how HGTV addressed the alliances and winning. So the judging wouldn't get a little skewed. And definitely Allison and Michelle took some hits on the fact that their room looked so adult. Yes. And the teams weren't crazy about the color. In fact, Jonathan said he wanted a more cheerful color, and I felt myself go all Miranda Priestley and say, what you don't know is this color was selected for you by the very people in this room.
How insulting could you be if you say, I hate this color, and the person you're telling that to is wearing a hat and a jacket, the same color.
And that Jonathan is so oblivious to it. That's kind of the funniest part of it. I feel like he's totally Anne Hathaway talking about, how ridiculous it is that they're arguing over the colors of the belt.
I do think Jonathan looked more worn out than anybody else. So the built-ins were loved by all, but everybody commented there was no closed storage. So kids' junk, office junk, whoever's junk, there just needs to be a place to put it away. It's not going to stay neat like that if you don't have some place to put it away. So I did like the comment, this is the sexiest kids' homework space I've ever seen, right?
Which was not a compliment.
No. But again, that was a little confusing, right? Because initially it started off as these three options, and then every time they showed it, it just said homework.
Tristyn and Kamohai got quite a few comments about their moss wall. Most of them were kind of about the downside of having a moss wall. They could say it looked good, but probably not very functional.
Yes, they mentioned the fake plants, and I noticed that when I watched it the second time, that there are some fake, and it's going to be dusty. It's going to look terrible. And 14 feet up. Good luck.
Then Chelsea's take on it was that the loft itself and the stairwell really had different vibes. I didn't really get that.
Me either.
When you go into a kid's space, it's clearly going to have a little bit of a different vibe because that's intentional.
Yeah, I didn't think it was bad, but maybe if you saw it with your own eyes and that lighting, maybe it was incongruent.
Good point.
It didn't seem that way on television to me. And even Allison said about Tristyn and Kamohai's space that she liked the color, and she's just not a color person like you. I thought they did a great job, and I would say they brought some Hawaii in with that plant wall.
Yeah, Allison actually said It was sophisticated, but still very much a kid's room.
I did agree. They did need some padding down under that climbing wall. Yes. Would have been cool if Cole would have fallen and then we could drive that home. But
he did seem to be struggling on that wall. That was kind of funny.
He's tired. He's been up for 48 hours.
And then Chelsea and Cole got a lot of great feedback on their space.
Yes. Classy lounge.
But the one thing that people pointed out was it didn't have as much storage. Like, it didn't have as much built-in storage.
Yes.
The advantage of that is that whoever buys it doesn't have to deal with these built-ins they may or may not want.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Yeah, somehow they made it look good. Was a quote that I wrote down.
So do we want to talk about who won?
Sure.
So I'll tell you, when Jonathan says Tristyn and Kamohai's room was the one space where he felt emotion, I thought, this is game over.
Yes.
Tristyn and Kamohai are going to take this win. Jonathan was already a little salty, maybe from the Himalayan salt blocks in his spa, about the loss.
He was a little angry, yeah.
I also felt so happy seeing Tristyn's face and talking again about how this was for their kids. I was tearing up, and I don't generally tear up at HGTV shows.
No, it's really lovely to mention their kids, and the muse for their room was their kids. I thought that was lovely.
Yeah. Well, I was very happy for the winners, Tristyn and Kamohai, and I'm really grateful that this week brought back some of the fun we've seen in past seasons and that we've been missing for the last couple of episodes.
Agree.
Thanks for sticking around, besties. This week finally brought back the chaos, creativity, and cattiness we live for. Watching the teams fumble through their transportainer treasures and somehow mostly pull it off, chef's kiss. Some of those themes were a blessing, some were a curse, and a few felt like a break from the HGTV gods.
Agree.
And let's hear it for Tristyn and Kamohai. They finally snagged a win, and honestly, that kid's playroom was so good, it might convince child-free buyers to start a family just to justify it.
Or buy this house just because it has that room.
Of course, we came armed with hot takes, tiny tantrums, and a full Pinterest board full of opinions, because what kind of podcast would this be if we didn't?
So my nitpick this week is insulting someone to their face about the color of their room when they are actually wearing that color. Yes. Rude.
Poor Michelle.
Rude.
What did he say he wanted to do to Jonathan?
Tear his up.
I can't believe that they left that in. And of course, we weren't offended because we're full on loving White Lotus. And it reminded me of the conversation between Rick and his best buddy.
Nothing shocks us now. Nothing shocks us after White Lotus.
If you're vibing with us and your brain is basically made of HGTV at this point, you need to catch up on all of our episodes at designingbitches.com. We're literally everywhere you listen to podcasts, so hit that follow, like, star, or whatever button your app throws at you. We're not picky, we're just needy.
Also, we'll be posting our bingo card for week 5, so let us know if you won. Give us your comments, and they could earn you a spot on our Designing Bitches Bestie of the Week sticky board.
As always, we have some apologies to make. I'm sorry to people who love living walls and are fans of The Devil Wears Prada. I'm not sorry to you, Rhonda, but I'm sorry to all the others.
I am. I'm a fan. Also, look for our reels online if you need a laugh, and let us know what you think of our crazy observations about this episode.
We've had a lot of fun putting those together. Well, until next time, besties, bye.
Bye.